Why does Dr. Berry call this the proper human diet? We're going to talk about that just a little bit today. Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today's just a brief little subject about why it's called the proper human diet, both, by Dr. Berry and several others. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. You might be wondering, Bob, what in the world are we watching here? Well, basically you're watching me walk. I know that doesn't seem exciting, but if you realize that a little over 2 years ago I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for a couple of minutes without severe pain. Now I'm out here walking every day. That makes it a little more exciting. For those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. It means a lot that you spend just a few moments of your day with me. I would like to ask y'all to help me out just a little bit. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Drop down in the comments and say, "Hi, Bob." If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. All of these things are absolutely free and help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I'm 61 years old. I'm doing things now that I couldn't do when I was 40, like being out here walking every day. I did want to make just a quick note about yesterday's video. The whole purpose behind that, the one thing that I forgot to say is that I know that I'm not working nearly as much as a lot of you guys are. But for me, that was this last weekend, that was the first time I'd worked 4 days in a row since my heart surgery. So I felt like that was a really big accomplishment. So let's talk about this. There's lots of names for it out there. Low carb, keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion diet. All of those are spectrums or spots on the spectrum that Dr. Berry calls the proper human diet. And I asked him, you can go back and watch, I did an interview with him the day before my birthday last year. It's in the interviews section, playlist. I asked him this question. So why the proper human diet? He says, well, it takes away all of the confusion. Because as all of us know, there are always questions out there. Well, I have this problem. Is the carnivore diet okay for me? Well, I have this problem. Is the lion diet okay for me? And if we stop calling them by all of the other names and just say the proper human diet, then people will realize, or hopefully will realize, that it is for them. Well, I have heart disease. Is it okay if I have the proper human diet? Well, regardless of your condition, it is still the proper human diet. What brought this on is, I'm not going to mention any names, but I got a comment asking about heart disease. And, got a little itch on my leg there. And I have heart disease. I don't know where it's at now. You all know I've had heart surgery. But you know, we've talked a lot on this channel about associative data and how they try to make connections between this, that, and the other thing. There is no even association between saturated fat and heart disease. In fact, there's a pretty big meta-analysis out there. If you look on Professor K's channel, you'll find it, that they couldn't even find an association between saturated fat and any known disease process. And let's remember, just specifically talking about heart disease, it takes decades for heart disease to develop. I know from personal experience. Because you started a carnivore diet, even as recently as 2 or 3 years ago, I know it's very easy to say, well, obviously it's the carnivore diet that caused my heart disease. No, it isn't. There's nothing about a carnivore diet. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Go back and watch my interviews. There's 2 interviews with Professor K. The most recent one, I asked him straight up to tell me, in his opinion, what the major causes of heart disease were. And he tells us quite clearly that it's not saturated fat or cholesterol. But again, you don't have to take my word for it. Go ahead and listen to Professor K, or listen to Dr. Barry, or any of the other doctors out there. It's not cholesterol. It's not saturated fat. It's an inflammatory issue that's damaging your blood vessels. Where was I? Oh yeah, proper human diet. That's why Dr. Barry calls it the proper human diet. And many others. Is because no matter what condition you have, of course the proper human diet is correct for you. Just went by the house there. I'm going to go down to the other corner this morning as well, because I'm finally back up to walking at what I consider a decent speed. I have to admit, I was really tired when I got out and walked yesterday's and recorded yesterday's video. That was a lot of working out in the heat. Had another storm blow through last night. As you can see, it's very cloudy. They're only calling for a high of the mid-70s today, which is pretty nice. And then we'll go back to mid to high 80s and humidity tomorrow. But for now, this is a very pleasant day. Yesterday I got out and walked at 7:30 in the morning. It's almost 10 o'clock now, and it looks like it's about the same time because the cloud cover is much heavier today. But don't forget, we still have our June walking challenge going on. So go ahead and drop down in the comments and let me know what your steps were. If you have any other wins that you don't want to wait till Saturday to talk about, you can drop down and leave me a comment about those as well. But just remember, it's the proper human diet. Whether you're wherever you fall on the spectrum, from lion diet, which is just ruminant meat, salt and water, all the way up to a traditional low carb, which is, I believe, 50 grams or less. Some people call it 100 grams or less of carbohydrate. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, because it's working for you, don't let somebody tell you that, oh, well, eating that way is going to cause heart disease, or your cholesterol is going to go way up, or any of that other stuff. Because no matter where you fall on that spectrum, you are on the proper human diet. And because I think I'm pretty safe in saying everybody watching this is a human, there may be a few pets out there looking at the TV, but they can't understand what I'm saying. So if you're watching this and can understand what I'm saying, you are okay to do the proper human diet. And regardless of what your doctor says, it's not the root cause of any problem that you might be having. Again, that's my opinion. I'm just a retired truck driver. I'm not a doctor. But hopefully some of what I said today made sense. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.